Welcome to Washoe Life, the podcast brought to you by the Communications Division here at Washoe County. And we talk about a lot of different things and a lot of different people, places, history. We're going to go down history lane today. I'm your co-host, Nancy Lewinhagen.
And I'm Bethany Drysdale, and we are honored to be joined by Ferenc Szony. Our paths crossed first when you were with the Commission on Tourism, and I worked for the Commission on Tourism. But you've been a gaming exec in the gaming world for a long time, and so we wanted to have you here and just it's the biggest driver of the industry in Nevada, so you've seen a thing or two.
I have, and I grew up in Las Vegas. My first job was I was a bus boy at the Tropicana Hotel in Las Vegas in the late '60s, early '70s. But have worked in both ends of the state, been involved there, grew up there, but found that as Las Vegas changed in the late '80s, early '90s, it became such a huge community that Reno was a great place to be. And fortunately, I was with Hilton Hotels for almost 20 years. And we started having expansion opportunities and moved north. And I was kind of Hilton's guy in the north. So it was great fun, and then stayed on for years after that.
You know, that I'm so glad you talked about that, because some of that history, I didn't move here until 2004. But our daughter,
Newbie.
Yeah, I know, but our daughter was a dancer. And so we and danced for Miriam Allen, and
Oh, sure.
and we kept hearing about Hello Hollywood, Hello, and Hilton, how much history and really how that brought so many different people to our area because of that show.
I think if you look at, and that's during the MGM era where they really had it, and the culture that they brought is now all over from Beth McMillan's and all they are all the performers and entertainers and musicians that were affiliated with that, and there were other opportunities going on in Northern Nevada then too, but those are the people that have stayed on, moved into other careers, but they bring a cultural side to this community that is a little different than other communities of a size like this.
And also with you and your family.
Uh,
I want to hear about your family history too. Quite interesting.
Yeah, we came to Nevada because my dad was in the entertainment business. He was a classical dancer. So we always had a home in New York and in Las Vegas. And it was really, he was connected in Las Vegas more, but he performed up here a lot. We talked about the Mapes, where when they tore that down, I remember the top of the Mapes as a small child on it, and being up at Harrah's Lake Tahoe, which working for somebody like Bill Harrah was always a great adventure. And that was the first time I put on skis at 10 years old, was at Heavenly, because we were spending a couple of weeks at Harrah's, and my dad needed me to go do something. So
What a great place to do something.
it was a pretty good place.
Nice way to grow up.
And coming from California, I remember we used to do our midnight runs to Reno and go gambling, during college. And it was such an odd thing to me that there's slot machines everywhere, and there are these casinos where things are open all night long, and the great music that would come in, the entertainment to small town California. And I'm like, this is so weird to me, but it's now like this is Nevada.
And if you're on my side of it and you grew up in Nevada, it's odd when I would go somewhere else and it would be 10 o'clock at night and you can't find a place to eat. Or it was Sunday and let's go get a six-pack and we're going to go out to the lake. Oh, no, it's Sunday. We have blue laws. You can't buy a six-pack on Sunday. What? That's very different, very different.
Yeah.
Nevada was always a very unique community,
Yeah, and the gaming industry is so ingrained in the character of Nevada, I feel.
It has, and it's evolved dramatically. And Washoe County, where we, which is the key thing here, is not the gaming destination that it once was. Primarily tribal gaming in California really changed what happens in Northern Nevada for the tourist side of it. It is what it is, for good or for bad. California probably didn't quite understand what they were getting into especially from a tax standpoint, where they allowed the tribes to have an unbelievably lucrative part of the business. And when Northern Nevada got hit with it, we had to change what we do here and how we do it. So Southern Nevada, Las Vegas, very different. It's an international destination, so it had a blip. It felt an effect of tribal gaming, but the size and scope of what they do, I like to call it's kind of like the NFL and the NBA all rolled up into one, is what the Las Vegas Strip tourism gaming industry is all about. And that's very different from what we do here. While we still are a good regional destination, very different playing field. So.
Let's go back. You were the CEO at the Sands.
Yes.
And you changed a lot there.
For many years, yes. And that was during the late 90s, really, in the 2000s. And that was where we had to really adjust what we were doing in this town to what was happening in California. And I think what the term that you hear, and where my direction changed, is I really decided that we had to get out of the tourist side of the business. Too competitive, a very challenging side to be in, but the local market was growing very well. My company, a little company called Truckee Gaming, and we operate 11 casinos in Nevada, 9 in the north, in places like Fernley and Dayton and Verdi. We're in Sparks. We've got Rail City there, but we really came to the conclusion that we're going to get out of the tourist side of the business and focus on the local economy, which has grown so well and has been a great business. Even in Las Vegas, we're in Henderson and in North Las Vegas, so we don't cater to a visiting clientele. We really cater to the locals.
And what a brilliant shift. I don't think a lot of people understand.
Even a blind, squirrel can find an acorn occasionally, but it was something that you could see the direction was changing. The Sands, we sold the Sands to Jeff Jacobs, and who really, what I loved about Jeff and still do is he didn't have a vision of owning a property. He had the vision of, how do I take a neighborhood and really change it and have a longer sighted view of it. And I wish him well on it, but it's going to be a much longer process to do that than something I would have had the interest to get into. But Jeff's a visionary. He likes to look big picture, long term.
We need all of it.
Absolutely.
So how do you take an industry like the gaming industry and make it last through, COVID, through recessions, through, trends? People are gaming one day and then not, where's the longevity, or how do you find that longevity?
Gaming is a form of entertainment, and you have to evolve it. You have to keep nurturing it, make it better, come up with things that people want to do. The gambling side, it's so funny, it used to be we're in the gambling business. Now we're in the gaming business. That whitewashed it a little bit, but
it did,
but
I was going to say, what are the biggest changes? That's one of them.
Well, exactly. It really, and Hilton was a part of it in the early days when you started taking individual entrepreneurs, of which we still are blessed to have several of them in Northern Nevada. There are some in Michael Gahn and a few in Las Vegas are still at it, but it was really the advent of corporate America being able to come into the casino entertainment business, and just it blew up and it really got into all new big things that make it entertainment. But the core part of the casino side of it still is that rush that people get placing a bet. Last time I was at Disneyland years and years ago, it cost me a couple of $100 with me and my family to go for the day. And as we're walking out, they said, "Thank you, have a nice time." And it was hundreds of dollars that I spent. In Nevada, if that was based here, as you'd be walking out there, to at least be a big wheel that you'd spin, and on your departure, you might win tickets to come back next time. You don't get that anywhere else. So there's still that chance of doing it. And that energy and that excitement that people get is what continues not only to bring them to Nevada, but to casinos all across the country and around the world. So it's, and whether it be tourist-based or local-based, there's still an energy that people get from that if you don't get it, you won't. But if you do,
Right.
knock on wood.
Good point. Yeah, you don't get to spin a wheel when you leave Disney.
Yeah, right.
No.
No freebies.
And there is that feeling of hitting the double zeros on the roulette table. And
Absolutely.
That's-
Absolutely.
that's my bet. If I don't go to the casinos much, but when I do, it's betting on double zeros.
And we have, I give a lot of credit to Alex Morello at GSR, which is a building I knew well. I was fortunate enough during the Hilton years to have my custodial time of it. You may not remember, but you may back then. We built a 10,000 seat outdoor amphitheater, and we had Sting on the outside. We had the Grateful Dead. We brought in big name acts that were risky to bring in, but were the type of entertainment that a destination like this needed. We lost that, and the risk taking of that kind of fell off. But Alex, with his vision of building the indoor arena, and it'll be about the same size and year round, you got to give him credit for saying, listen, we need to do this because from an entertainment and from an idea of what do we do new, you got to do those things. And that's something that the casino entertainment side of the business has to do, is be new.
And think about, Thomas and Mack, how we watched the, Missouri Valley, Mountain West, excuse me.
Yeah, there you go. Oh.
I know. Mountain West tournament. I mean, that's also going to elevate, besides entertainment and sports and just...
Sports is entertainment.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Really has, and that's where you kind of have to go with it. But you have to be forward-thinking enough to come up with it. I mean, some people today will say, oh, the National Bowling Stadium. Okay, what a big... Well, it was a pretty big deal when it got started, but you have to evolve and keep moving forward on what's the next new thing.
So how do you see what is the next new thing?
Yeah.
You must just consume information all the time, but how do you stay ahead of it?
Yeah, you have to travel. You have to see what's going on out in the world. What are things going to? You had on one of your shows, Stephanie Cruz, talking about how you look to the future on advertising on billboards and TV is kind of old school today. And what about that full page ad in the newspaper? Well, that kind of, we see where that's gone to. You have to stay ahead of it. And in our industry, like any other, you have to get out and travel and see what's going on, seeing what's new. Cirque du Soleil, when Steve Wynn first saw that, it was a little traveling show, from a group of guys in Canada that were, that he put in a tent in a parking lot, and look at where that grew to.
It's a verb now. It's
Yeah,
Cirque.
exactly.
Have you seen what Cirque have you seen? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Great
So
example.
you have to be out there, and the people in our industry have to get out and go see what's new and not just sit there and milk the store, because that's when it's woe is me.
I want to go back for a second because I'm just listening like a sponge. You have so many great stories. Let's go back to those gaming days when you first, when you were traveling, and what are some of your favorite stories from maybe the way it used to be that we might not know about?
I was in an interesting time because of I was, as a young guy, and getting out of UNLV and going to work for a company like Hilton, we were kind of a corporate thing. But then you look at the historic ones and the guys that were running these stores in the old days. The McHugh family, a great Reno tradition. A couple of the younger generation work for me today, but the dad who used to run the Cal Neva in downtown Reno, And do you remember any of those alleys? You
Oh,
know, that were
yeah.
there. Okay, well, whenever they had to get rid of somebody that was just raising, Cain in the casino and get them out, I mean, in the old days, they used to literally throw them out. And, we were coming in little suits and ties and going, oh, my goodness, you can't do that. And, yeah, Bill McHugh, you kind of have to, and that was a whole different world. Back then, and the characters that were in the business, because it was hard in those days to get a bank loan, so to run these kind of businesses, and so they were very entrepreneurial and they were very colorful people, of which Northern Nevada, still has that spirit kind of in it, and the Strip not so much, downtown Las Vegas to a degree, but. Different world. Yeah.
Bet.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're running casinos in the north and the south. Is there a difference in northern and southern Nevada? Do you have to run them differently for different audiences?
Well, to a degree, but you have to really. Most people I know in Northern Nevada, when they visit Vegas, they hate it. They like going down to visit, but you can't live here, you can't. And I would have to say that if you're a young person trying to find your way in a career or an entrepreneurial spirit, Las Vegas is a spectacular place that if you're honest and willing to work hard and have good ideas, it's a boomtown. It truly is still a boomtown with great opportunities. And, some people will call it a little LA, and maybe it is, but you can make a hell of a career in LA in its day. Las Vegas is that today, and you still have that huge opportunity. Northern Nevada, maybe a little harder. This is still a little bit harder to break through community. But that opportunity's there. But we're not Hootersville anymore. But we're still not quite as dynamic maybe as we once were. But we're making a lot of strides, and I kind of like living in Hootersville.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a good spot to live in.
But think about too, just for Nevada as a whole. The Super Bowl, for example, when it was there. What was that? Just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We heard, wasn't it just an amazing experience for the NFL and the people who?
Absolutely. But you got to understand how Las Vegas thinks. And this goes back to, not only did they have the Super Bowl, but they had the Super Bowl in a stadium that they only built a couple of years before they had the Super Bowl. And if you talk to anyone in Las Vegas, they go, well, why shouldn't the Super Bowl just be there every other year?
I've heard that. I'm like, why shouldn't it?
Well, and if you really think about it, you go, okay, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Just put it there every other year, because it's a city that can adopt to that. The Formula One race, this is the second iteration of it. The Caesar's Palace did it years ago in the parking lot, and it didn't work so well. They had the vision, just didn't have the ability to do it right. This time they've done it much better. Some people kind of go, well, it's not great. Give Vegas just a couple of years and they will make it great. And they can figure that out. But they play in a different arena than we do, and that's okay. But if Northern Nevada still gets a good tax from gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be the industry long term that's going to see great growth? Probably not. We have to diversify. And what's great is Northern Nevada is diversifying. I go to events now in the community, and the gamers aren't the ones that are doing everything and moving everything and are counted on to step up to make things happen. Other industries have kind of stepped into that, and it's while in Las Vegas, it still is.
Is it concerning to you that Nevada hasn't diversified more at this point? We are so dependent on gambling, use that term, and tourism.
Gaming, that's what you're supposed to say.
Gambling. No, it's a gamble. It's a gamble to depend on it that much. But we have our hands full with, water is as big of an issue. A lot of the other issues that that you look at not from the casino side of it, but you look at it from just the general growth side of it. Negotiating with BLM. I mean, that and getting the land in order to build the housing that we need. They're the guys that are going to have to loosen those purse strings. Our little casino in Henderson, we look at a couple of tracks that are adjacent to it that are BLM, and it appears as though in southern Nevada they're able to more nimbly work with BLM on either trades or whatever. But all of a sudden, BLM will release some pretty big tracts of land down there. Now, where they're going to get the water for it, that's a different question. That I don't know. But they've been able to negotiate to get the land to build some of those areas and build out. So the growth is there. And even on our side, if you're going to operate neighborhood casinos, you better make sure that you do it well, because we have to compete in that segment too to be another source of entertainment. So, and it works. It works. It's still great fun. I still enjoy it. I enjoy running and being involved with my team of people on our small clubs, as I did back in the day when we were, trying to figure out who were we going to put in that big outdoor arena, to do that at the Reno Hilton. So,
What's your favorite part about what you do today in both North and South?
It's amazing how we now have young people coming into this business that are well educated. They want to get into it. They didn't grow up as many of my peers did, as they were a dealer and then they worked their way up, and they see it as a legitimate business industry to get into, and I love working with them and getting that part going. So it's I think like anything, it's mentoring and working with a young group of people and seeing them perform well, making things happen. Yeah.
You've seen the industry change from, the heyday of Reno and the Mapes and things like that.
Yeah.
What do you see in your crystal ball 10 years from now for the gaming industry?
Well, I think that Washoe County's biggest question on that side of it is, what is the city of Reno going to do in downtown Reno? The most successful properties that we have in our region, it's public knowledge, would be the Peppermill, the Atlantis, and I believe and GSR. None of them are downtown.
Yeah.
I would say that any one of those performs probably even better than the Tri properties downtown. And it's not necessarily just the Tri properties because of the product. It's what's going on in downtown. Jeff Jacobs has a vision for the west side of that he has a vision on where he's going. Nobody really has a great vision of what is downtown Reno going to turn into and how do we get it there. And part of that is a fault of what happened over the last 20 years or so of various groups trying to figure out how do you make downtown Reno into a destination for both tourists, but also for locals. And that is a struggle. It truly is. And I don't think they've got it figured out yet. When they do, hopefully that'll make it. But I can assure you that over the next few years, you're going to continue to see those other three that I mentioned invest and grow and put in new entertainment venues and different food offerings and different gaming opportunities and doing things to keep not only people coming over, because we still get a great crowd coming from Sacramento, and to keep locals coming. So
I like that message. All right, personal. What do you do? How do you rest and recharge after all this?
Well,
Sounds like you work a lot.
I don't call it work. I ski a lot. Which is another reason why I was the guy that back in the Hilton days that said, you need somebody in Northern Nevada, I'll go. That's it. Skiing's a lot better, even though Lee Canyon's there. But so we travel a lot, and but I really do enjoy the business we're in. It's a fun business. It really is. So
I've seen a lot of changes.
Yeah, retirement is not something I do.
So looking forward, we just talked about the crystal ball. What's in the crystal ball for you personally in the next 10 years, do you think? You said not retiring, so
I'll travel more, ski more if I could.
Okay,
That's it. Keep doing those fun things, and letting Truckee kind of let the young ones take it over. And the young ones, Jesus, they're all grown people. They'll do a good job with it.
Well, I just love the time you've spent with us and just giving us your personal stories and what a great legacy you, your family have left and continue to leave a mark on this region. We are blessed.
Thanks. We'll keep doing it.
Okay. And making it fun along the way. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Washoe County, for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.